time, and they've had a lot of close games. Yes, they never made it out of the groups, but they had a lot of close group stages before.
And we can have a quick look at the brackets where you will see, I mean, it's quite contrasting to have, you know, major champions, a team that's made every major, and then Optic sit there with their very first here, ESL 1 Cologne. NIP Optic will be the second game of the group. We start with Navi Flipside. And I do look forward to delving deeper into NIP Optic, but just a quick glimpse as to why this one could be close, Blue. It's already been coined as, you know, do not underestimate Optic, and there's a reason for that.
No, not at all, because, I mean, you look at their stats over the past coming months, and there's been a visible increase in all of them. Mixwell, of course, still bringing that really strong opping power that showed immediately when he jumped on this team. Bit of a rough patch when he first went to Civo, but that was recovered almost instantly. Not only this too, but Daps has been an incredible power force for this team ever since they've really started to get their work ethic back, because there was that whole drama with that a few months ago. That's been corrected now, and now they're getting some strong leadership behind them too, as they're bringing in a new coach into the mix.
With all of that said, I really want to start talking about Navi Flipside. I do think we have finally got an opportunity to do so. Navi Flipside is going to be an intriguing matchup that I want to delve deeper into. First, we get to meet them and what they had to say coming into the major. It is going to be time to meet Flipside, see those faces that we've already about to start talking about.
I'm throwing smoke. I'm throwing a flashbang. Bomb has been planted.
Blade there already. Yanko has touched on his prowess in game, and we're going to be talking a little bit now about these boys and also the history between these two teams. We keep throwing this around. We said this in the pre-show. We'll say it again, that there's there's a history between the two. And actually, Yanko, if it's okay with you, I'd like you to kind of explain it to perhaps a newer viewer or maybe a less experienced viewer.
I mean, these teams met each other a lot through history, right? But it's always been Navi who was the more dominant team. Yes, Flipside managed to take a map off here and there. They had that in the lower bracket at the Star Ladder tournament. They beat them on train 16-4 pretty dominantly, which was extremely surprising. But that was kind of the first tournament after a break for Navi. Guardian was still recovering from his injury, and these two teams have pretty similar play styles, and that's what it comes down to. They have similar.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's also one of the problems. Like, stylistically, basically Navi's just a better version of Flipside in all respects, even from like the AWPer to the riflers to I mean, even in game leader, you can make the case. But it's even worse in terms of the map pool, because stylistically you're playing an opponent a similar style to you, and they're better anyway. They've got the advantage there. And also, there's nowhere to go if you Flipside in the map pool, because the formats that you want to play are the formats Navi loves to play. So we start out here. Flipside bans Dust 2. Obviously, Navi bans Cash. These are standard bans from both teams. Now that we have, or we're going to be This is one of the few times you're going to see the higher seed choose to go there, because as we see, start on train, CT side, a lot of teams can get a lot of rounds there, but we know Navi's T side is unbelievable, so they're kind of just seeing how many do we need on T side, and then they know what style to play.
Yeah, you know the map, you know the side. Blue, what are your thoughts coming into this one?
I still think this is going to be a map which Navi takes. The problem is this is the map the Flipside did actually win versus Navi at that lower bracket game in Starlighter, but as Yanko already mentioned, that was the first time that Navi were coming back. I think that was only the second game that they played, so it was still a very rusty period for them. Guardian still wasn't necessarily like back to his form as of yet, but I think they've actually played it 2 times since then, and both of the times Na'Vi has won it pretty dominantly, if I'm remembering correctly. So I feel like this is still going to be one that Na'Vi can take pretty easily, especially now they got the side choice to start.
How about you, Yanko?
They need a strong start on their T side because they're gonna have to battle it out on the CT.
And Duncan,
Yeah, I
leaning
mean,
towards
for
Navi.
flip side, this is one guy and one guy alone can do it, which is World Edit. If he has a big CT performance, they've got a chance. Otherwise, I'm almost certain Na'Vi wins this game.
It's all on one man's shoulders. Is it going to be World Edit who steps up to the plate? Will he be able to face off versus Guardian? All these questions and more are going to be answered by your casting pair for this one, as Moses and Pansy are standing by to deliver the action on Train.
Thank you very much, Alex, and the desk for the wonderful little bit of a preview as to what's to come. And this is going to be a bit of a good matchup here. I think we're both kind of excited about this one, to say the very least. And Train being the platform as to where it's being played, a lot to be said about this.
Well, actually, these two teams have played on Train very recently,
E-League.
just last week.
Yep.
Yep, I believe it was 16-13 for Na'Vi and 16-6 for Na'Vi. So 2 wins for them on Train. One obviously a little bit more one-sided, but it does very much come down to these T sides. I mean, flip side is going to have to put some work up there because, as Duncan just mentioned,
Yep.
Na'Vi's so good on it.
Yeah, and there were issues with Flipside's Train. We saw it in the qualifiers against, I think it was Optic actually, it was their CT side they ended up struggling on, but we are live into this flip side. Beginning on the T side, of course, Na'Vi did have the option of side choice in this. Hope we can get a little bit of sound as to what's going on, but already Flipside coming in with a hell of a lot of utility to play with this time. Only 2 players with armor.
And that just comes down to the tactical approach that Flipside's going to have, as the in-game leader, using these kind of nades. It's one way they can kind of even up the skill gap because all 5 members of Na'Vi, they're such a deep team. So many players can have such a massive impact for Na'Vi. So Flipside's got to have some tricks. They've got to have some kind of a tactical approach that can neutralize that.
And C's already been taken down so drastically. Gonna maybe open up a possibility of that B hit, but then again, Flipside not really overextending just yet, still taking their time, and they definitely have that plan in mind with all of those smokes still to play.
What that does do, since he's so incredibly low, it forces Flamey to come cheat over towards that inner bomb site. You can see he's already been pretty much dedicated there, just now rotating back a little bit. Guardian, this is great information, but they still don't have the full idea of what's coming. They know no one can be Ivy, but Zeus is actually going to get caught out, and he's got to win this battle, and he's running out of bullets, and he still gets away somehow.
I don't know how he's gone away with that, and relatively unscathed too. He took a little bit, but not that much. So now maybe with a little bit of a plan in mind, it seems like if you're working out, this could still be that A hit coming in.
And Flipside hasn't even moved across the map whatsoever. They've taken these battles, they've dealt the damage, they've poked, they've prodded, they've got a lot of intel. They've taken some damage actually themselves right now. Guardian doing some good work, but still Flipside hasn't committed anywhere.
Yeah, Blade still holding back on that molly. They still have those smokes. They're just being put down right about now. So the smokes to come in, going to lock off a touch of the bomb site itself. Guardian, though, going up on the push-up, gets denied down from the push from Ivy. And now here comes a play from Flipside, aiming straight in towards that A-bomb site. 2 players already on there. Zeus will stop the initial planter, which was Waylander, but Blade's still going, and it's down to 3v3.
Yeah, there's been trades all out of this bomb site, but now that it's down, Edwards looking over the smoke, doing good damage, but can't find these kills. That's a little bit of a bummer for Na'Vi, an opportunity for him. Flamey now locked in a battle. 2 players of Flipside are very low, but they're still able to pick off Na'Vi from range.
This has got to be surely Blade to do this. Shara so low, 15 HP, and it is Blade to find Flamey, and wow, closing out towards Edward as well. A massive round from him. 4 kills to kick this one off, and a very good start there for Flipside. It was highlighted on the desk quite predominantly that there has to be a good start for Flipside. They have to get themselves rolling, and that's a really nice way to start this one out.
And Blade being the one to put up 4 kills as well, that can only mean good things. Not someone known for his frag. They talked about guys like World Edit, we're going to have to be heat big. We've seen Markelov recently have some very big games for them as well. But Blade on this around, and it didn't even really seem like they necessarily outplayed Na'Vi. Guardian gets caught out being over-aggressive, pushing down Ivy, so they got a couple gimmies here and there. We saw that weird battle with Zeus in mid, so he had an opportunity to get the kill, and just nothing seemed to go Na'Vi's way. They had the fights they wanted, but nicely done from Flipside.
Yeah, and a lot of people will be keeping their eyes on Na'Vi throughout this tournament. Arguably someone that people will be looking towards going very far, to say the very least. Of course, top 3, top 4 at, if you're being quite, reserved on it. But there has been a little bit of words here and there. I think the interview with Flamey came out saying that didn't have the ideal practice. He's not feeling well either. This could mean that there is weakness to be possibly exploited. But again, this is still very early stages. This is the group stages. And it's the first real glimpse of what we're going to be seeing from Na'Vi so far.
The big thing as well is it's also all eyes on Guardian. He was very notorious for having that injury at the major where it seemed like he was, off his game. He had to change the settings he was playing with to kind of adjust for the
higher sense.
He had to jack his sense up because he just wasn't feeling like he could make the proper movements with his arm. So this is now kind of also looking at him and saying, okay, this guy's supposed to be the best opera in the world. Where exactly is he at? What we've seen out of Na'Vi recently in some of their games since he's come back is actually it hasn't been that dominant individual performance from him and then him team being based around him. It's been very much a spread out effort where every player is stepping up at a different point. Everyone's putting in their 15 to 20 kills, and no one's really shining too far above the others.
Well, you looked at E-League, it was Seized and Zeus who had the big games. It was Edward and Guardian who were kind of missing, which was surprising. But
Amy as well had some
yeah.
late games, but I mean, there's just too much power on these players for them to stay down for too long.
Exactly that. So we've got almost all the UMPs coming out for the T side. One rifle with Blade, and why not? He had the big first round to afford it a little more than the others. But Waylander going to go dashing in towards B, but a 4-play stack from Na'Vi willing to greet this on the other side. Shara going to be a little cautious about it. There's two right there. He only finds one. Trading out 1-for-1 here, and Waylander not able to capitalize even more.
Zeus trading one off as well. And that nade keeps him from falling back. He's taking a lot of damage, and advantage goes to Na'Vi. This is a very good start, and a little bit of team damage coming out from Flipside. So feeling the pressure, a little bit confused by that aggression from Na'Vi, and this has actually bought plenty of time for Na'Vi for that stack to break up. Now that third player that was at the B bomb site has rotated towards the outer site, and they've got a good spread on this defense.
This could be pretty tough now for Flipside. They're in a bit of a pinch in this one, considering Wilder that is so low as well. He's not able to take any real straight-up fights here. It's going to come down again heavily towards Blade if he wants to try and pioneer the way into this round. Guardian going to be going for the information all the way over by Ivy. Not going to overextend this time, pulls himself back in. But looks like Flipside have reset the pace a little bit and going to start considering maybe hitting that B side. One smoke goes down. No commitment off the back. And there's still 3 players here. Those 5-7s to hand can be pretty darn deadly. There's no disputing that at this sort of range. So again, not an easy round outcome for Flipside, but a slow, cautious beginning and build into this hit that may just about come through.
Yeah, they have to commit here. There's only less than 30 seconds. Killing to Zeus, that's huge. And a second one from Blade. He's been massive in these first 2 rounds. And nothing going for Na'Vi after that good start in a 4-on-3. They don't get any more kills on the entrance, so it's back into Flipside's favor. They've got good damage, but it seems like Flipside's going to be able to get away with this.
Yeah, run out of a little bit of steam there after Flipside just reset the pace. Flash comes out, slows them down. Seized and Guardian going to have to push some shots here. And Seized actually being allowed a lot of room to work. A little bit surprising he got away with that. No mollies left. To stop this diffuse coming in, and Guardian's taking the straight up fight. He's going to keep Blade back, but he goes to the reload at one time, and here comes the cavalry. Seized coming. It's going to be Guardian with the kit on the side now. As well, one of them can hold it back, it would have been fine, but no. Guardian's going to diffuse. He gets it down in the end, in the last couple of seconds. And well, it did get the kill, but it wasn't fast enough.
A miracle play, and you said it. Too much space is given for that Na'Vi player to push in the top of the trend. I believe that was Seized.
How was he allowed to get that far?
Yeah, they're just no one spotted for Flipside. Part of it is because of the low HP, but also Guardian. They have to make that swap because he's the only one with the kit. He's the only one with a chance to stick that defuse at the end, and somehow it works out for him. So a little bit of a fumble for Flipside, but with that plant, they're going to be right back into a buy. 3 AKs are going to be on the board. Tech 9 on Waylander, and Blade. It seems like he's just going to be the, he's actually hasn't bought anything quite yet. He's still in spawn. He's going to buy up a little bit late, so maybe thinking and talking with his troops, seeing what exactly he wants to execute.
These 2 teams are known for their very methodical style, just building into these rounds very slowly, so not the biggest waste in the world. And the thing actually that worked at E-League was those eventual entry hits. They weren't particularly fast, they weren't necessarily the most pretty in the world, but they really did pressure like the Flamey down. They caused Seized to pull himself constantly over towards B, which seems to be now the default, almost running out for Na'Vi into this one. But we do have the AWP there with Guardian, so this again could cause a little bit of a difference, but he's been pretty much negated so far. He's not had much of a play into this.
We want to talk about these teams perhaps knowing each other a little bit. If you look at this buy out of Na'Vi, 3 M4s, the AWP and Guardian, with these purchases, they don't have any utility left already. I mean, they've only had, Zeus has only had an HE and a smoke for the last 30 seconds, so maybe knowing that Flipside is going to go up for the AK-47s, they want to be able to challenge them with the rifles of their own, but they're giving away a couple advantages in the fact that they can't block off choke points, they can't Molotov anything, they can't slow down any kind of execution with flashbangs, so it's got to be duels 1 from Na'Vi for here on out, and the big advantage is
Already, that's going to be Zeus pushed down, position down to 6 HP. The pitch is going to come out now from the Flipside boys, and there you go, Waylander, the first in, barrels forward with the Tech 9, going to make his way straight towards side, pick up the Famas and look for more. Already pushing Na'Vi back, slowly up, Flamey and Edward, going to be trading effectively into this one, keeping the advantage towards Na'Vi's side, and there's the clothesline coming out from Flamey and Guardian, keeping this one in check.
Looked a little bit sketchy. You could see without those nades, it was just overwhelming from Flipside, and the smokes that they set up around the bomb site, it almost seems like it was isolating some of the backup for Na'Vi, but eventually, at the very end, they turn it in their favor. Flipside overextends a little bit, trying to push past the bomb train instead of just getting the plant down. Na'Vi comes out with it. That's going to force the save out of Flipside, so now they have a chance. Now they have that cushion. You can see C's going for the SMG, getting a little bit of the money bonus, but they can start building up behind this win.
Again, for Flipside, a plant would be absolutely perfect in this but you can't really expect much more when you literally have the cleanest of buys, only one P250 invested into, and sees if he can brilliant, but whiffing a bit of a shot there, gonna have to back away, take another fight. It does mean the Waylander snuck through, but this should be comfortably dealt with. There really shouldn't be much to talk about here, as Seas will at least have Waylander there. Now looks for more, gets called out by Blade. Again, these sort of kills shouldn't be coming in so regularly, but Flamey gonna keep this one in check. There's the rotate coming out. Puts up a good fight, but eventually goes down. Losing out on Siege, which isn't the end of the world. He did have the SMG, but probably could have done a lot more there.
It was a little awkward for him there. He was getting surrounded from a bunch of different locations, but yeah, no big loss for him. And now look at this, the double off setup comes out. We started to see Siege do this more often, pick up that secondary AWP. It's very dangerous, and now with no op of their own on the T side, Flipside doesn't have much to challenge it. It is going to be a big test for Blade to find ways to work around these two AWPs, or at least negate them so they don't just lose players and bleed manpower away.
Yeah, and if you go back to the E-League game as well, it was WildEdit who was actually up on Guardian considering throughout that game once he got the AWP. So being without that so far might be a little bit of a waste, but actually a very quick hit towards Edge coming out, trying to maybe exploit the fact they expected a double AWP coming into play. That could be a factor here, but Zeus gonna meet WildEdit straight forward, and Guardian just doesn't expect it. We're down to a 3v3 though.
Yeah, the bummer here is that they did this perfectly. Guardian was blind for the first 20 seconds. Zeus playing around the edge of the smoke is going to find another one, and Na'Vi recovers. Everything went perfectly to start that. Guardian was entirely neutralized, but seized up above, finds the last kill. He's the one who rotates in and stops the pressure from Flipside. 4-1 now for Na'Vi, and again, it's going to be a situation where Flipside, they have no money to get any rifles on the board, so they're going to have to save one more time. Maybe a small investment to see if they can get the plant, or maybe take some kills away from Na'Vi for some rebuys. But now it's getting into that danger territory with this double op setup.
Yep. In towards the danger zone, it seems 4-1 though. Flipside Tactics, as you said, they have invested very lightly into this, still keeping themselves well above 2k, no real worries on that front. But it does seem as though the stars of before, at least into that round, were shining again. The surprise of Seased and Zeus being the ones to be really up on point, but a bit of a 3-2 split going to go through pop, and actually Waylander just smashes down Edward. A quick bit of a removal from the site, let's say, as Waylander only recovers a mag 7 though, but maybe if you can find any more, that'd be brilliant. But greeted by 3. The timing was awful for Guardian. Getting a little bit lackluster on the peak then, and has to back away, down to 20 HP, and great deals of damage being dealt towards Na'Vi so far.
Yeah, this has turned into a sketchy situation for Na'Vi, but they should be able to come back into it, because Flipside, they only have the one smoke on Waylander that he salvaged. They didn't invest much into this round, and they don't really have much that they can go for from here, because it's going to be wide open battles against the M4s, against the AWPs. There's no flashbangs to force him away. But still, Flipside's being patient. They're going to try and see if Na'Vi's going to make the mistake of trying to counter with some aggression to try and figure out what's coming, see if they can get some, some sneaky kills. But no one's doing that so far for the defense.
And Zeus is going to have to pick up the position of Guardian. You can see that Flamey's put himself towards A, and Seized is selling out on B. So the best I thought they could really hope for would be a plant, and that may still be on the cards here, considering how they approach that B site if Waylander and Shara do commit. But this could be quite a nice split if it does come through in the end. It's going to really cause these guys to split themselves on the site, and that's what's happening right now.
So it's going to have to be very coordinated. They're split everywhere. There's no one grouped up. They have no advantage in numbers, even with the weaker weaponry. Zeus now, the timing is the smoke is going to be changed, and he's going to find one. So is Flamey. So the danger is gone. Everything gets shoot down. And Na'Vi can breathe a little bit easier. But Markov has a chance to pick a couple more off. Guardian and Flamey were very low, but thankfully there's that op at range out in the open.
Yeah, 12 and 20 HP at the end of those for those two players. That could have been a little bit worse than it started with, but kept again in check. Na'Vi seeming to pull themselves back in line, making sure they don't lose any of these rounds that you can see plaguing other teams, let's say, so far in this tournament. So keeping themselves well set. But we're finally going to see the AWP coming out for WildEdit. So that's something we want to be at, seeing how he plays into this. Does that have an instant effect at all? But the double AWP still present on the Na'Vi side is going to be a huge hindrance to maybe it having its place into this round at least. But again, Flipside have a lot of opportunities here. It's still far from over. This is still a relatively CT-sided map to most people's opinions, and I don't seem to differ from that. But Guardian going to take a very quick peek towards B, and he's got back up there. 2 players with him.
Yeah, look at this change up in the defense. 3 plays towards inner. They stacked it earlier on that second round. Doing it again here, and without any of the pressure, Guardian wants to get more aggressive. Close up with the AWP, and there's very few people who feel comfortable taking this fight. Guardian, he's going to turn the corner. One more coming, but that's a good trade from C's. Bates Waylander at least right into the second off.
You can see Zeus instantly ready for the kind of response from Flipside. Markloff and Willett both held back quite drastically by Ivy, not able to make a quick play to try and exploit that stack on B. So reset the battlefield almost. But Blade snuck his way out a little here. He's got a little bit of room, but not much. Still on the ladder, still not finding any info. And there is Edward pushed up pretty darn close by Electric. So Blade could struggle with this one, considering there are the orbs down at the back of Ivy as well. You can see from Flamey, but it's Blade to trade out again. Welded it, finally comes into it, finding Edward. Zeus has the shot, he adjusts perfectly on it, but Welded it on two is going to keep this one close. He knows where Zeus is, roughly down by the old bomb train. Flash comes out, but Zeus going on a bit of a mission here. Going walkabouts all the way around the map, and now Welded can adjust. Chooses to go for the M4 over the AWP. Here's a molly, a flash, and a smoke, so still a little to work with, whereas Zeus has nothing here.
This is going to be really tough for Zeus to find out. We'll let it though, and he takes the angle. Zeus has to find him. There's so many different places he can be in. He's just left in a really, really tough spot. That's kind of the danger when you rotate around through CT spawn like that. That's a lot of time for your eyes to be taken off that outer train yard. And the reason he does it is the danger of that AWP at the range he was at. He doesn't want to have to mess with that, doesn't want to have to get into that long-range battle with an AWP. But still, World Edit gets plenty of time to readjust his position. So nice win from him, 2-5, but now they have to build on that because buying into this round, it's only World Edit who really has any kind of economy left over. Everyone else is kind of, you know, bought out towards the end. So if they lose this, it's going to be back on the pistols again.
This could be pretty treacherous, but this time around we're seeing the more default. We saw Ely coming out from Na'Vi. We've got that 4-1 play, but as Edward getting aggressive down towards top, he's going to look around. You can hear the spray coming out, but Flamey can he walk away on 14. Shara try and build off the back of that. Seized, not landing the shot. Somehow Shara gets away scot-free. That's
a pretty smart play. It's very, very aggressive from Shara, but he knows, or he gets the idea that he can at least have a chance to get a couple shots off. Unfortunately, he just doesn't land any of them. Now sees this is the one he wants to take, and that's an easy one. Waylander out in the open. He goes for a second, doesn't get that flick. A little bit partially blind, but meanwhile they've snuck out lower ramp. It's going to be Flamey who's got to be very careful.
That 14 HP better come up with the goods, and it almost does. It sees though to keep control of this one again, catching out Shara eventually, but Blade does get the bomb down on 1 HP. It's a little bit worse for Wayne here. Markloff does have the molly, but 1v4 is closing in on Miracle sort of territory. We're already going to go for the fight. You can see the fire comes in instantly. Na'Vi not going to let that one happen. They're going to close this one out, and again, Flipside's money wasn't looking great before, and now, well, not going to be looking too much better. So, Na'Vi building well, starting to, you know, get a little bit more dominance building back into this one. Flipside gonna have to look at what they can do here. Well, that it was fine, as you said in the last round. Did have the economy building early after that 3k first as you picked up that AWP, but we're going to be seeing the pistols out again.
Yeah, they just can't do anything with this buy. That would concede so much power in this half. They've got another chance here where they can save one more round. That plant's going to help out moving forward. So just the pistols. There were opportunities in that round for Flipside. You know, we talked about Shar missing his one kill. I'm not sure if Waylander thought he was completely hidden, but C's is going to take that all day long. Unfortunately, the bummer is they had the economy of Na'Vi very low. They had him in that situation where they could break them if they just had won another round. But now with the fact that they killed one person now, Na'Vi's able to build right back up again. So it's going to be another situation where the economy of Na'Vi is very strong, and they've been doing this all time. It's been Guardian before, but Flamey now pushing up Ivy is going to give them a lot of info.
You can even see the way they're coming into these rounds. They're playing quite deep, I guess, at the start when they know they're coming against pistols. This time, Edward is going nowhere near pop. Before, I think it was Wayland who managed to catch him out with the Mag 7. Not going to be able to be doing any of that this time around. So again, Na'Vi reading this well. And look at Flamey. This guy is getting so much information already. Markloff's going to just peek out. Great timing on that. I don't know how he expected to happen. I'm not sure he heard a step possibly, but Flamey now in a bit of a dance here. But he knows where they're heading towards, and they're going to take this as the word go, basically. And it's going to allow the rest of Na'Vi to tighten that noose, and that's exactly what's going to do. Against your last man alive, an easy cannon fodder for Guardian in the end, just going to build up those stats and start looking pretty comfortable here. This is a good CT side starting to come out.
That push from Flamey, it almost makes Flipside feel really uncomfortable. It seemed like they wanted to wait a little bit longer, but Markloff's just like, all right, we've got to go. We're about to all die. And they just executed a little bit earlier than they were comfortable with. And Na'Vi, you're right, exactly. Just easy picking at that kind of distance. So now back with the weaponry. The AWP is back in World Edit's hands. They have the smokes. They have some flashes and Molotovs to use. Got to start putting rounds on the board. This double AWP setup for Na'Vi has been very strong since it came out.
Yeah, it's been incredibly impressive. And look at this. Again, the CT side is just really bringing variety to the forefront here. Seized coming over instantly, trying to support by A, maybe expecting another of those fast hits that came up before on that buy-up when they had the AWP previously. Not going to be the case this time. Looks a little more default than usual, or at least a little bit more stacked towards the A hit. But again, Na'Vi seem to be mentally very well prepared for this.
And this comes down to Starix being one of the most well-respected coaches we have in the pro scene, and the different looks that we've seen him throw at him. Even gambling with putting, like you said, no bodies at the inner bomb site initially on this round, expecting that kind of a fast play from Flipside. Obviously have a lot of knowledge of how they like to play because they've played them twice in the past week or two. And Starix is just seeing he can catch him off guard with some kind of a setup.
Teams like to run so much utility with the T.